Hola, mijo and mija. ¿Cómo estás? I am Carlos Simons. Mi nombre es Carlos Simons. I learned all that speaking Spanish stuff when I worked with a whole bunch of Spanish speaking people at a radio station in Fresno, California. True story. And I learned what all the cuss words mean too. Um, so I know what they're calling me. I don't know how to answer back, but I know what they're calling me. I thank you so much for joining me here on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about, politics and religion, and always talking to people that everybody tells me I'm not supposed to talk to. Nobody cares about that. Nobody thinks about that. Charlie, you're going to lose viewers. Don't put those J6ers on. Well, I have a J6er on again today, and his name is Daryl Roe, Affordable Lending, and he's based out of Clovis, which is right next to Fresno in California, Central California. So automatically, if you're watching anywhere else in the nation or in the world, even, you're like, I couldn't care less about California. Screw California. Trust me, we probably feel the same way you do. But it's important for you because as California goes, so goes the rest of the nation. 2008 comes to mind, one of the hardest hit in the whole real estate crash in '08. Fresno, California in general. There were entire neighborhoods decimated. I'll never forget pools left stagnant, turning into swamps and backyards, dogs and cats left behind to starve to death. Entire neighborhoods were decimated. I'll never forget that. And banks holding on to the properties. They became, what's that term again when it's a bank owned? Oh, I've forgotten all the terms now, but at one point I was so grasping for straws trying to do anything other than what I'd done all my life, which was radio and television. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and did some book about real estate investing. And I thought, I can do that. So I got into real estate. I started financing my great credit, which at the time was like almost 800, my credit score, credit rating. And I utilized that to start buying little distressed properties, going in there, learning how to do stuff myself. YouTube wasn't prevalent then, but it was, well, no, not really. It was just getting started. But so I'd ask a lot of questions and learn how to do things myself. And I'd already flipped a couple. One I kept as investment, another one I turned into a rental property, another one I lived in. And I made the tragic mistake of leveraging. I did this very thing that I kept telling all my clients because now I've learned how to become a loan officer. And I got unlike many loan officers, I actually got my real estate license, what they call the DRE, Department of Real Estate. I got my license. I really wanted to know everything I could about it and how to be successful at it. And real estate people can be extremely successful, except when 2008 happens. So I bailed on the business that I'd always known and loved. And I thought, I'm going to try something else because I want to make even more money. Real estate. And I did that about 2004. And I did all right. I was worth a couple of million at one time. And then 2008. Well, I had the privilege of working with a guy who I thought, this is the coolest dude ever. He's a gearhead like I am, is total car freak, especially racing cars and antique and classic cars, and all about American muscle, but also anything, just vehicles in general. I'm a fan and always have been. He collects them now. He rebuilds them and he does all this stuff and in his spare time, but he also does private investment. Well, I'll let him tell you. He's coming up. His name is Daryl Roe. And he's going to be my guest today on Do Not Talk. I'm looking forward to getting his input on and sharing with you what's going to happen with real estate. Because I don't think it's sustainable, the prices in California. I'm one of these people for a long time who's been saying this.
Really going to crash like 2008. Here's what's actually happening. Your social media feed is probably flooded right now with people screaming that the housing market is about to crash worse than it did in 2008. 50% drops, total collapse. We're talking financial apocalypse. But here's the thing. Most of these people have been saying this every year since 2012, and they've been wrong every single time. So what's actually happening? Let's separate the fear-mongering from the facts. The loudest voice right now is Melody Wright. She's a housing analyst who's been making waves with pretty shocking predictions that home prices could drop by half starting as early as 2026. Now, unlike the doomsayers, Wright actually has specific reasoning. Her argument centers all around affordability. Right now, you need to earn roughly $120,000 per year to afford the median priced home in America. The problem? The actual median household income is only $83,000. That's a massive gap. Wright argues that prices have to fall to meet what people can actually afford. She's also pointing to data from Zillow, showing that 53% of US homes lost value over the past year, the highest percentage since 2012.
And so many people already had money were snatching up all these properties from those of us who were losing our properties, which I was one of them. I lost 3 homes in 1 year to foreclosure. Couldn't even stop it. Was trying to renegotiate with banks, but they were just snatching them up too. They're thinking, oh, look at the improvements this guy. They had their people go around and look at it. Oh, there's been a lot of improvements on here. Oh, this is a gold mine. We're not going to work with this guy. I'm really convinced that was going on. That was SunTrust, and that was what's that? Washington Mutual. They said they were working with me, and then they were always losing my paperwork, and I had to send it in again and fax this form in again, and third time, fourth time. What's going on? Oh, well, it's the times. Everybody's scrambling. We don't know we're suffering too. May have been true, but don't tell me that there's a chance that I can renegotiate the terms of my loan and save my house. And then I drive home, and there's a foreclosure notice on my door. That happened to me 3 times in 1 year. All while that was going on, by the way, my wife left me, divorcing me. 2 of my dogs died. I lived a country music song in 2008. So what about California? People always seem to know. By the way, I admit I was one of those guys like that dude was just talking about who was saying, oh, it's all going to come crashing down. Yeah, it's not sustainable. It's all going to come crashing down. Well, here's one guy in 2025. Here's what he said was going to happen in California.
California's housing market over the next 12 months because it's flashing some massive warning signs. Inventory levels are surging, with listings in cities like Los Angeles nearing a 10-year high. This spike in inventory is starting to push home prices down across the state. And the core issue is affordability. Most buyers simply can't afford to buy in California. The typical home value is over $700,000. At a 7% mortgage rate, that means a monthly payment around $5,000 with taxes and insurance. That makes California the most expensive state for mortgage payments in the country. And Massachusetts is the next one in line at $4,400 a month. But California is sitting at $5,100 a month on average. The big question now is, will California home prices drop significantly over the next year? Or will high costs continue to keep buyers locked out of this market? Time will tell, but the warning signs are definitely there.
What do? You own a home now? Are you thinking about buying? Interest rates are down considerably from the 4-year reign of terror of Joe Biden, autopin Biden. They're down significantly. I think about 5% something now, and down from 8 something. Well, again, let's get the expert in here. Daryl Roe on Do Not Talk. Ready? Hit it.
Wow, that was quite a lead-in.
You like that?
Well, you're really swinging for the fences today.
I really am.
Well,
I lived it. I know what it was like to put all your bets on the wrong horse.
Yeah,
I know what it's like now.
The old topic of affordability. You remember the days back in the old days when we were young mortgage officers, we got paid on a loan amount. So back then we used to all pray, well, one day Fresno is going to catch up, right? It's just going to be the values are going to come around. Because back then we were like the lowest place, lowest values in the really in the state. Would you
Which
agree
is
with
why
that?
so many from LA and San Fran have moved to the
Exactly what
Fresno
happened.
area.
A lot of
Crazy.
people did. A lot of
Yeah.
people moved here. Well, sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for because we are wishing the values to go up, and well, now they have. So it's not like it used to be where the Central Valley was a very easy
Affordable.
place to come buy a home because it was affordable. Well, that is no longer the case. The values have gone up, and we're probably not quite as high as LA or the Bay Area, which obviously outskirt us, but a lot of people from those areas, especially during COVID, moved here, which brought the availability of homes down, and of course, value and value up, affordability down. Just like we talked about, we kind of knew this was going to happen, didn't we, Charlie?
Look what happened. No, I never expected it. Look at Bakersfield. I mean, that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. And I was like, yeah, nobody's going to want to live here. The Bakersfield's a great place to be from. Now look at it. It's insane. Everybody in Los
Yeah.
Angeles who moved up to Valencia to
Mhm.
try and get away from LA now can't afford to keep living in Valencia, and they've
You're
moved to
absolutely right.
Bakersfield.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened here in Fresno and the Central Valley in general. So
Yeah.
prices have continued to go up. And unfortunately, people's wages, I don't think those have continued to keep up with pace. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I,
we all
I
feel
don't
it.
claim that you're a prognosticator, but you've seen enough, and with experience comes, and you stuck with it. Whereas me, shoot, I ran like a scalded dog in 2008 when I
Well,
lost everything. I just
yeah,
left.
yeah.
I'm getting back to
Well,
radio
I
and
was
television.
fortunate
Screw
because
this.
a lot of mortgage people went out of left the business. And I was fortunate because we here also do private money investments. So when your mortgage, your resources get dry doing your typical mortgages with FHA and conventional, those type of things, a lot of investors come out to pick up those homes we talked about, and they need private money. So we did survived on during private money investment or facilitating those type of loans. So that's the only reason that I was able to survive that barren times, right? So
It was bad. Did
yeah, it
I
really
leave
was.
anything out when I was describing what neighborhoods were like in the Fresno area in '08?
Now
Did
I
I leave
always
anything
reminded.
out?
You remember the movie The Walking Dead that we all used to like? It was really like that, wasn't it? Yeah, you had to. Oh my God, the zombies, and those were the bankers, I think.
For the bankers.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that, like I do, the banks were snatching up properties and weren't even trying to work with people like us because they're like, yeah, we already got our money from you. We sold the loans to Denmark or some crap like that. And
Yeah, well,
so,
BlackRock, they're still doing a lot of that buying home. Well, I don't know if they're really doing it as much now because the market condition has changed a little bit, but they sure did stockpile a lot of homes back then off the secondary market. So I kind of
yeah,
do feel like possibly that was probably you think it, they're just business people. They're trying to, bottom line banking strategies as they were. So it makes sense to me that they're caring about their profits and they're business people. So they were
it
looking
was
at
like
opportunities.
it was like a melodrama. The banks became like Snidely Whiplash. Yeah, your mortgage is due. That's
Yeah,
what it
well, I
felt like.
myself lost one rental home during that time frame, and that was so hard on me because I grew up in a time that when you signed a contract, it meant something. Well, people are no longer like that now, and for me to allow that house to go away was it felt like it was a stab in the heart. I wasn't living up to my good word that I signed on this, the mortgage loan documents that I would do this. Well, it got to a point where I just couldn't. And then one of my attorney friends said to me, Daryl, banks walk away from bad investment opportunities all the time. And you got to look at it the same way. And then, I ended up letting that one go. And wish I wouldn't have had to do that. But it really tanks your credit for a long time. And of course, that's been a long time now, and I've been able to rebound from that and make more money off of real estate than what I ever would have lost back then. So fortunately,
I'm
time
the
heals
same
all.
way. You and I are very much the same way. I had a friend of mine who was a doctor talked about her doctor neighbor who walked away from his property, because it fell down below the value that he paid for it. So he literally
Yeah.
looked at it as an investment, walked away from it, even though he had promised he was going to pay this money. Walked away from it and went, I don't care. I have great credit and I'll have great credit again. I don't care what kind of hit I get on a
Well,
30, 60, 90-day late. Just
a
walked
lot of the
away. And
people,
that made it so much worse for
it
people
made
like
it
me.
worse. But a lot of those people were actually going to a bank at that point before they allowed their house to go, and they would buy another home that was bigger, better, and badder, and then
Before
they'd
they
let the
had
other
that
one go
30-day
before they had
late
a
on
hit to
their
their
score.
credit. Yeah,
Yep.
well, and you can thank brokers for that a lot. They were actually marketing that. They were going to people that they knew were on the edge and saying, "Hey, I got this opportunity for you." Well, unfortunately, the music stopped. And there was no chair to be had, right?
I actually had no chair to be had. I went to a congressman, scheduled a meeting with him and everything when I was a loan officer, and I'd gotten my DRE license. And I said, "You realize all these people calling themselves loan officers and acting like they're real estate experts? No, they're not even licensed. They don't have a DRE. That doesn't seem right to me." Because this is the most expensive investment most people make in their entire lifetime, and you're giving it that title of loan officer to somebody who was at Payless Shoe Source just the day before and took an online course or whatever on how to sell people on loans.
Yeah.
That seems to be way wrong. Didn't even care. Didn't even really listen. I'm like, doesn't that make sense that they should have to have the same license as a real estate agent if they're going to be dealing
Yeah.
with real estate
Well,
loans
that
or
all has
not?
changed now, of course, and everyone has to be licensed. I think the only people that don't have to be licensed are the big banks, like Bank of America. So their crews, they fall in a different category, so they don't really have to have
And they
the
have their own loan
DR.
officers in house.
Correct. They don't have to have a
So they're competing
DRE or
against
an
you.
NMLS license. So yeah, that's
They're competing against you.
that's
An
who we're
MLS
competing
license,
against.
all that means is you're gaining access to the computer program that tells you what's for sale that day.
That I'm talking about your
No?
NMLS, which is your
Oh, I'm
National
sorry.
Mortgage Lending License. You have to have that, which before when we were doing it, you didn't have that, but now you
No.
do. So, and that's expensive to maintain every year to keep that up.
Good. Well, I'll
So,
take credit for that. It's all because I brought it up with that congressman.
yeah,
Right?
you good.
I'll take credit. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I hope you
I'll
get that
think of you every
award.
time I write my $500 check every year
To the
to keep my
DRE. Yeah.
license. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, you're welcome. So anyway, what's coming? All
You
that
know,
aside, what do you see? What do you think
hold on
is
here.
coming, especially for California?
Let me grab my magic 8 ball over here.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah,
Do it.
yeah,
Go
right.
ahead. We'll
Shake it
give you
up.
time.
Boy, it's so hard to tell, but I'll tell you, Donald Trump is doing an awful lot right now to really talk about affordability and to make some changes in the business that's going to help people be able to buy a home. So I do feel like we have a stronger economy coming, and we're already seeing signs of that. We're seeing some, you know, more job numbers coming out every day. It's a lot of good signs going on. But in terms
In
of
the
housing
nation, but not in
in the nation,
California.
well, we're seeing some of that here, but not as
I'm talking
much.
about the United States of America. We're California. I don't consider us part of that.
Yeah, right. Well, you would not be alone in that statement. Yeah, I just
Mm.
got my insurance bill yesterday, and it went up 3 times. Well, don't you think that homeowners and automobile insurance is playing effect on this? I
Yeah.
personally do. I don't know if you know this or if you remember this. I recently, when the market has been very bad in the last couple of years. So I took the time and I went and built a new home up in near Mammoth. And the house has been done for about a year now. I still don't have insurance on it. I can't get insurance
Oh,
on
you
it.
won't. It's a high fire danger
No, I'm,
district.
I'm not really a high fire area, but they're using that excuse to say that I potentially am. So I can't get insurance. I've tried everything. So think how many people out there right now, they don't want to step out of their current home into a new home knowing that maybe they can't get insurance, right? So that's a big factor too, and I'm hoping that Donald Trump actually does something about that with the insurance commissioners through California, because a lot of the places now, same thing with auto insurance, they've just stopped. They stepped out of California, and we still are
I don't
required to
blame them.
have it. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
blame them.
Yeah, you can't really blame them. Yeah, there's a lot of things there. But I think that's part of the problem, don't you?
Well, yeah. The difference between '08 and now, though, is I do strongly believe, and it's not just a theory, it was the government itself, I believe, that caused that crash. That real estate market crash was the government forcing banks to make loans to people who normally would have never qualified, all in the interest of DEI. And
Well, I
that
can
was
you
Barney
you
Frank and those kind of freaks who were forcing that through. And George W., unfortunately, just kind of let them do it.
well,
And
you and
and
I
we
were
all,
in the business. We were in the business together at the time, and I remember
yeah.
filling out. I mean, getting loan papers. They had those stated loans, and I love those. Are no longer exist, but
Stated
those
income.
stated
Stated
loans.
income.
They'd come in. They'd
You just
state their
tell the loan
income.
officer how
Yeah,
much you make, and they
and you
can't
wrote it
even.
down, and that was you. You really weren't even allowed to ask. You just would do that, and then. Don't you think that added to the crash in '08? I personally think that was a big number
It's
of
exactly what it
yeah.
was. I blame it all
So
on that.
yeah. Well, at the time, and there was this big thing, it's like everyone deserves a home. And I agree with that. Everyone deserves a home. But not everybody is in the financial position to get that home now. We have to make some change. I can't tell you how many times people come into my office and they'll say, Daryl, I really want to buy a house. I'm like, well, I want to help you do that. Okay, we have to take care of A, B, C, and D before you can get to E, right? So you have to
Just like
really
anything you buy, that's
correct. I mean, I'd
that a
like to have
loan
a
is involved.
yeah, and
Anything.
if I want a new car, I got to have my ducks in a row
You
before I
better
can just
prove that you have the income to afford to make that payment.
right, correct. And that was something that really wasn't happening back then, and that
No.
probably added to '08.
You
Now
said
who
everybody
would
deserves a home. I don't think that it's a right. I think it's a privilege. It's something you have to work for. If not, then maybe you don't have a problem with renting the rest of your life or somebody else who actually bought a home. But
yeah,
what happened in '08 turned everything into a rental, basically, as these out of towners were coming in and scooping up entire neighborhoods and then refurbishing them with some cheap paint and maybe get somebody to come in and mow and blow the lawn and turn right around and sell it. Those bank-owned properties. Uh, FSBO was for sale by owner. What was the term for bank-owned properties? I forgot.
REO, REO
REO,
property. Yeah,
real
that was
estate
probably what you're
owned by a
thinking.
bank.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
Well,
exactly.
and you just brought up a good point, talking about rentals back then. And now fast forward into the COVID years. Okay, people were living in these houses and then the government got involved again and they started making it where these people that were renting those homes could forego rental payments until and you got to think about the people who own those homes. Okay, so a lot of us, and myself included, I had some rental homes, and now I'm not getting rental money for those, and I wasn't allowed to kick them out. I mean, it was a really bad time.
Forgotten about that.
So you think about that on I think that's the next thing that's happening right now. There's not a lot of homes on the market for sale, but a lot of those people that have those rental homes, they're still so upside down because they weren't able to make a payment. They were on the edge of foreclosure with those homes. So I think we're going to probably still see a bunch of those hit the market as soon as things get. A lot of people they don't want to list the home right now because nobody's really buying. The rates are really high. So they're just sitting on it buying time. So I think when those rates come down, we're going to see a lot of people that have rental homes put them on the market and they wanted the values to come up. So we're going to see a lot of that. And I think that's going to help people at least have inventory to buy. It doesn't mean they're going to be affordable yet, but they're going to be out there. So I do think
You
that's going to
see a crash or a boom for California alone in 2026. Again, about the eight ball. I know you're not a prognosticator, but in your opinion, crash or a boom?
I don't see it crashing this year. I don't. I feel like that could happen, but I don't. I think this year I just am getting too many calls from people wanting to buy and kind of getting them in line to buy. So I don't see it as a crash. I see it as soon as those interest rates come down, I feel like we're going to get a bunch of people out there buying. And a lot of those people who have been waiting on the fence to put their house on the market are finally going to do it. So I feel like that's going to spark it, but I don't know I don't know how much I would bet on 27 or 8. I'm not sure what could happen there. So,
Interesting. So
yeah.
that's a deterrent too. If you're thinking about buying now and then and then 2027, everything collapses. That sucks for you.
Well,
Timing, it's all about
but
timing. You can't time the market. That's why I always
but
say don't buy it as an investment, buy it as a home. You're going to stay there. That's your
that was the point I was just going to make. If you bought that same home and don't worry about what everybody's telling you that now you're upside down, you're there to have a home. You're going to weather the storm. I know in my personal home I did that. I bought it during that time and I fortunately was able to keep hold of it, and I wrote out that time, those bad times. And now, I mean, I'm in green pastures with that home where I didn't think that was ever going to happen. But to me, it was just a home to live in, right? It was a place to raise my family and do what I do, you know. So time heals all, you know, and if you react to what everybody's telling you, you could freak out. It's like the stock market, right? If somebody
Mhm.
tells you, oh my goodness, the stock market's going to, and then all of a sudden you take all of your stocks out and you put them in 5% yields over here with treasury notes, which, you know, that's probably not a real lucrative plan, versus keeping them in play. You just killed yourself, really. So I don't, it's just the same philosophy, you know. You treat it as a home, don't treat it as an investment, and realize that time is going to be on your side as far as the value of your home goes. I think that's just my opinion.
Of course, you know, I asked the question, is it crash or boom? But it's all relative, isn't it? Because if you're a homeowner and the values crash, that is a crash to you, but to a buyer, that's a boom, isn't it?
Exactly, it is relative, isn't it? So
Yeah. Um, I I'm gonna ask you a real direct question here, and um, I
I'll
kind
do
of
my
because
best
of
to tiptoe around it.
okay, good. Uh, because of family obligations, an elderly mom, and there's no one left to help her and assist her, and I live about an hour and a half away, but every week I'm going down there and doing work for her and so on. I can't leave California. I can't leave California as long as she's, you know, still here. And she doesn't want to leave, won't leave, owns her home. Um, I don't blame her. I guess I wouldn't want to either, but I don't see a light at the end of California's tunnel. I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, we're finally going to get a Republican governor this coming November." Really? Republicans, I got to let you know, fellow conservatives, elections are won and lost in the primaries and in the midterms, and you don't show up for them. You don't even bother to vote in them. Many are not even registered to vote. 40% of those who claim to be Christian, that's it, who are registered to vote. Only 40%. Why? Gun owners are the worst. Oh, I don't want the government involved in what I'm doing. Dumbass. You already had to go through a DOJ check to be able to buy that firearm. Trust me, you're on a list, and they won't register to vote. I don't see a light at the end of California's tunnel because we don't show up. We got a primary coming up this June. The amount of conservatives who actually vote in primary elections are in the teens. It's embarrassing. And California has now structured themselves where we have this jungle primary where it's the top two vote getters. So chances are, instead of getting a Republican governor this coming November, we're going to get two Democrats running against each other. Those are going to be our choices. I don't see a big light at the end of California's tunnel, and I blame my own fellow Californians for it. Would I even want to buy in this state?
Well,
I know that's your business. You don't want to tell people, no, don't buy in California. Get out.
I don't
But
know why
honestly,
this. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Everything is getting so out of hand and expensive. I can't say that we're going to have a Republican governor. And when you're in a state with 55 electoral votes, there's a lot on the line for the Democrats to keep hold of that. And without, you know, they're going to do anything they can. I mean, that's why we allowed so many illegals in. That's why we do a lot of things we do is all about protecting that 55 electoral votes. So I don't know what's going to happen politically in California. I always just chalk it up to it's going to be bad. That's kind of what I always say. You know, it's just going to be it's going to be more expensive fuel. They've chased off the refineries now. I don't see anything great happening in California. You talk to anyone in any other state and they go, oh, you're from California. And they automatically judge you as being an idiot or part of the problem. And they don't know how you voted, but they just assume that we all vote Democrat. And, you know, we don't, but you know, there you have
those
it.
of us who don't vote Democrat, though, don't show up.
Well, I
You know,
do.
I keep hearing
And
that
yeah,
California is really red. Really? Well, it doesn't matter if we're not going to show up to vote.
yeah.
So
I
me,
believe we're more red than other states give us credit for sure. but it hasn't been enough to sway it into a Republican governor or governance for a long time. So I can't say what's going to happen there. It's a lot of, I don't see it correcting itself in that way, I guess. I would like to say that I'm wrong, and I hope I am, but
What I'm asking you is, if I did have the money to buy and I could qualify, would you even tell me I should buy in California, or would you tell me you might want to look at some other states?
well, I would,
Again, that's your business. I understand if you say,
if I was a young guy, I would probably be looking at other states. My son is about to graduate from medical school and about to go to his residency, and I was really hoping that he'd get out of California. So I feel like a young boy that's about to, make a good income, and he's also going to be taxed a lot. He's a California kid and wants to stay in California, but that's his choice. But I will say this. I have a lot of clients, past and future ones, that they come to me and they're like, Daryl, that's it. I'm getting out of California. I'm selling everything and I'm going to move. And I go, okay, and I'll facilitate that for them, help them get through that. And then they move. And 3 or 4 years down the line, I get a text or an email, Daryl, we're coming back. And I ask them the same question every time. I go, why? And they go, well, the weather. I love the weather. I love the proximity of doing these things. I go, you love it enough to come back? He goes, yeah, I moved around a few different places and I didn't like it. So I do see that story unfold time and time again. I don't, if I was gonna, I'm like you, Charlie. I can't really make that move because I have my father. I have several reasons. My sons live here and they don't want to go anywhere.
right.
So I'm a lot like you. And I always tell the same thing. People ask me that. I'm like, well, why are you still there? I go, well, someone has to stay and fight. And I'm, I'm never one to let my political opinions be a surprise to anybody. In fact, being known as a conservative, and that's what I do. I've actually gotten busier doing what I do. So I'm proud to say that. Of course, I do work with a lot of more democratic, liberal-minded people, but a lot of my clients seem to be conservative. So,
That's
and so I
good.
don't know the answer. I don't know the
You
answer.
mentioned it's just something though that became very apparent to me when I was working in the business with you back in '07, '08. Yeah, there's a lot of lefties in real estate and lending, isn't there?
It
Banking.
really is. Yeah, but
Weird.
yeah, it's
You can't say
yeah.
anything.
I don't really. Yeah, they're all great people. We do a
They're
great
all
job.
great. God love them. Or what do my family in the South always say?
God
Bless
bless them.
their hearts.
Yeah, that's right. Bless their hearts. Yeah. First time I
Uh,
heard that was back in Tennessee, and someone said that to me. They said, "Where are you from?" I said, "California." They said, "Bless your
oh,
heart." And I
bless your
thought, well,
heart.
that's very kind of them to say. Till later on, I realized that's not really
What
what
they're
they
actually
said.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah. You're an idiot. I hope the Lord takes care of you. Bless your
Yeah.
heart. Uh, how do we get a hold of you? How do we utilize your knowledge and experience? Anybody wants to know or have any questions about real estate or personal investing?
Well, you can reach out to me on my website, which is affordablemortgagebydaryl.com. You can
Spell that
call
though,
me.
because you don't spell your name. But everybody spells their name differently with Daryl.
Yeah. Mine's Daryl. So you can find me under that. Affordable
Say it again
Mortgage.
one more time.
Affordablemortgagebydaryl.com, and it's Daryl. And I'd be happy to answer any questions I can for you and help you navigate the times, right? So also you can get a hold of me by my cell phone, which is probably the easiest thing. Everyone likes to text nowadays, right? And that's 559-307-5362. And I
Nobody's ready to write down a phone number, so give them a second
now
and say it again.
559-307-5362. I'm based here in Fresno. I live in Clovis. And I've been here for a long time. So I know a lot of people, and I can probably help you with a lot of knowledge, how to move forward in this crazy world we're in. So
That's the best part is if you can find somebody with Daryl's kind of experience who has already ridden out some of the worst storms in the real estate business. And he was right there, a part of it, and still, unlike me, stayed in it. and has built a great, successful business from there. I'm proud of you. I'm glad to call you my friend. You're a tremendous blessing to so many people. Thank you, Daryl.
You betcha, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, partner. And I would appreciate you helping with this show, getting involved in what I do here at charliesimons.com. Get yourself one of these awesome mugs. Look at that right there. They share with me the profits that we make, and I make sure that the prices are not super expensive like so many of this online merchandise stuff. Mine's not like that. And I also try to always make sure it's based anywhere but a communist country. This one happens to be made in Taiwan. I don't have a problem with that, not a communist country. So I just don't do China. But let's talk about politics and religion. There's my mug, big old 15-ounce mug. I got big hands. Look at that. I love this mug. I got shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff there. And you help the show. Or you can just make a contribution if you want through my website at charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God. I hope that salute was good because Daryl is a former Marine, so he'll chastise me if it wasn't proper. Huh, Daryl?
Yeah. Well, I was judging, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad for an Army guy.
Exactly.